do for today is to do a revisions for your coming test, which is next week, right? So again, I remind to you your test will be in your tutorial sessions, where we have for group group C is on Tuesday, 8 to 10, and for the other group is group B is on Monday 2 to 4. Alright, so I remind to you that even though that you are separated with a different group, okay, please don't share the questions to your friends. Alright, so if it happen, so the next coming final exams and the next coming assessment may be strict more. So make it as your evaluations for the chapter that you have learned, right? So I will give you a tips and also revisions for today, so that you have more and better understanding on the topics, and you may have a good. I don't say that remember, right? You can say you can answer the test quite well, okay? So the revisions that I want to share with you guys for today is from topic 1 to 5. As mentioned, it will be in your test, okay? From topic 1 to 5, okay? However, we have a two part, which is part A, objective, okay, MCQ questions. Each topic you will have 2 questions, so 5 topics times 2 will be 10 questions, right? 10 questions, each questions will have 2 marks, so 20 marks for part A. For part B is the subjective questions, okay, where you have 2 questions. Question number 1 consists of topic 1 to 3, and question number 2 for topic 4 and 5. Alright, so inside the topic 1 and 2, it will have a subsections of A, B, C lah. Alright, so each questions for subjective part B will be consists of 15 marks. So 15 times 2 will be 30. So 30 plus 20 will be 50 marks, okay, for all the tests. Alright, so let me share you the slide that I will do a revision. So take note, okay, our test will be physically in the class, right? So you need to focus on the tips that I give you in the revision, okay? Focus, okay? Please be focused, because I will not give you the revision, because the revision is same as what you already have in the lecture note, right? Just I put a little bit notes there, tips to give you for you to have more focus on some highlight points, right? Let me share my screen first. Okay, alright. I hope you can see my screen now. Okay, boleh nampak saya punya screen?
Boleh, Doktor.
Boleh, Doktor.
Okay, thank you. Focus, alright, focus, because you will see some things in the slide, okay, and the slide will not be given lah, because it's same things with what you already have in the lecture note. Alright, let me make it more bigger. Okay. So I might ask you, or maybe you can respond while I'm. We actually, the revision is for you guys, not for me, right? So you are the one that studied and will do the test. So let us revise again what we have learned in the past few weeks. Today is week 7, right? We already learned in week 1 until week 6. 6 weeks already, right? So this is the revision from topic 1 to 5. Okay, again, our course here is ISP640 for computing project management. But the reference that we use here is using information technology, project management is similar things, just the focus on the computing and also IT. Computing and IT is similar in one umbrella, right? So the content is similar lah. Okay, so first topic we have learned to introduce you the nature of IT projects and also in the computing projects. Okay, so after you complete topic one by right now you already know all this matter lah. Why and why IT projects or projects invest in some of the project for technology, right? So why organizations spend money doing a projects for invest in their organizations, okay? And then you also already understand why project that planned by the organizations may need to change or may need to align with their business strategy, mission, and vision. Okay, and then hopefully you can define what is the meaning by projects, okay, and the attribute inside the project. Okay, and then we also have a discipline that we call project management. After we have the project, of course, we need to have a skills to manage the project. That's why we have a project management. And then understand the relationship between the project portfolio, program, and the project itself, right? And then understand the principles that's happening in the IT and project management, okay, and the evolutions from the previous until the current one, where we are focusing more on the technology, right? Okay, understand the current state of IT project management, and the important part here is why some project fail and how we can or we should improve, okay, to make our projects more likelihood of success, right? Okay, so everyone know that IT projects organizational invest that will require time, money, and other resources. When you want to start a project, it will take the times, money, and resources. Resources here means the facilities, the staff, the human resource also. Okay, and internal and external facilities and also environment. So included the technology. Okay. Some organization expect the return of investment in profit, but some is to improve their organizations to become more better perform, to get a more profit, right? Okay, so IT project enable the integrations of technology. Okay, we know that before we are more on the traditional method, manual, so we are moving in the phases of wave of for IR. That's the integrations of the technology lah, and the new business model on the product service, and also the process itself lah. Okay. So okay. Okay, I know that you will see some of the content that I put highlight there. So be focused on that. Okay. So PMBOK stand for what is it? PMBOK? Anyone? Project? What is PMBOK stand for?
Project Management Body of Knowledge.
Project management body of knowledge defined project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or any outcome or result. Okay, so again, project is temporary endeavor because you want to create a product or service, right? So you need to come up with the project team first. Okay, that's why it put temporary endeavor. So the project purposely is to create something, right? The unique product mostly is to have their own purpose lah, which is in line with the business strategy. So it should create a unique product, service, or output. So after the project done, what is the output? Is the product itself, right? So who is the one who manage the project? Project is project manager. Okay, is the person. Okay, so project manager is the person who assigned to by performing organizations to achieve the project objective. So project manager is lead, is the person that assign and lead the team to achieve, to inline the business model, the business objective, mission and mission with the project that they want to create. Okay. So this is a project attribute. Okay, I believe that you know all of this, but you don't have to remember, right? But you need to understand. In project, there is some of the attribute which is it include the time frame, when it start, when it's over, right? The purpose, okay, the purpose which is the value of why the project started, who is the ownership, who is own the product is for the customer, is for the organization. Resources, okay, the triple constraint, resources, internal or external, roles, who will taking control of the projects, who is the project manager, who is project sponsor, okay, who is subject matter expert, and who will be the technical expert. Okay, and also in project you need also to identify the risk and assumption that may happen while you start the projects. Okay, and interdependent tasks, okay, where the progressive more elaborations on the detail of step and delivery milestone. Okay, plan organizational change, if there is a change of the organizations, what happened to the projects. Okay, and operate in environment larger than the project itself. Okay, so you don't have to remember, but you just understand and know that there is some attribute in the projects. Okay, and all that are not compulsory, but if you provide more details of the project attributes, you may have more understanding on the project better. Okay, so what is project management? Okay, we know that when we create a project, it should be managed, right? Project management. So first, we need to understand what is project portfolio, a collection of diverse projects managed collectively to align with the organization strategy and overall plan to achieve competitive advantage. Okay, so this is project portfolio, meaning that one organization may have a few portfolio. Okay, example that our financial department may have their own portfolio. Of course, the objective is based on what the objective of the department, IT department or HR department. So we have a lot of project portfolio depend. So that's why you put here the collective of diverse project. Okay. Next, we have a program, a collection of a project within a project portfolio. Inside of project portfolio or inside department, okay, you will have your own portfolio. Right? The department have own portfolio. Inside it, you may have not only one program, you may have more than program. For example, HR, right? HR program for team building, program for assessment, right? That's why program here is a collective of projects. So when we have more than one projects, it will become a program. Okay, and it will benefit and managed by a certain individual, the PIC, person in charge. Okay, and then finally we have a project management. Project management is the applications of knowledge, skills, tools, and technique to project activity to meet the project requirement. Meaning that project management is the applications, okay, tools. Example, Gantt chart, and we can use mostly is on the technology, but not necessarily is a technology. Actually, is anything. Okay, how you manage a project. It can be a new skill. It can be a tools, a technique that you use to manage the project. So normally when we talk about technology, we refer to the we have the Gantt chart, we have the Excel file to manage the system, something like that. Not only tools, techniques, but also can be a knowledge or skills. Okay, so it's actually an applications. Okay, project management is the applications. Okay, the applications is applied on the knowledge, skills, tool, technique. Okay, right. Okay, so the state of IT project management. So why we need a project management? So Standish group is the group that studies studies a project that have been success and failure all over the world. Okay, so in general, what they find out that successful project is defined as one that is completed on time, within budget, and including all the features or requirement and vision. Meaning that when we talk about the successful of the projects, it should be completed on time, within the budget, okay, no more additional and so on, within the budget, and include all the features that the users or the customer need, the requirement, fulfill all the requirement. Okay, so that's why project management is important. Okay, because to manage the time, budget, and we need to know the delivery of the features and also fulfill the requirement. So the bottom line is that on the percentage basis, fail or challenge project greatly exceed successful project. So they evaluate, assess the success or failure based on this type of completion of the time within the budget and also fulfill the requirement. Okay, so again, this is the most important part. Why we have a lot of projects? Why some of the project fail, some of the project yes success, right? So most of it is project fail. That's why it's stated there many project fail. So project fail can be grouped into 4 categories. Okay, why? It will be in 4 categories. First categories is because of the people, the stakeholder of a project with varied roles and interests in the project success or failure. Okay, we know that when talk about people, people have a different perceptions, different understanding, different needs. So we have a lot of stakeholder. So all these are different perspective, different need. So this is one of the factor or category factor people. Okay, because of the different vision, mission, and also the different perspective of stakeholder. The second category is on the process. Because of the process, we want to create a project without following the correct process, without following the correct method. So this include having a set of project management and product management process, included project management tools. We know that project management is the application, right? So not only the process, it's also included the project management tools that been used. You might use a traditional method that you don't track the process of the project is implement. Okay. Next category is because of the technology. Okay. So stated here, only 3% of IT project failure can be attributed to technical challenge, but this percentage can be increased if obsolete, unproven, uncompatible technology. Okay, we know that technology is fast, right? Now we are talk about 4IR. So next year we don't know what is it, right? So technology is very fast. So technology is one of it because of the fast of we move of the changing of the technology so fast. Okay, it may one of the factor that why the project fail. We create a platform that we don't take into considerations of the next technology that in the trend, and who knows that our project or product that we develop incompatible with the next technology that been developed or obsolete. Obsolete means that cannot be used already because of the software is obsolete. Dah lama obsolete. Okay, unproven. Unproven maybe because of the technology that you use might be unstable. Okay, so technology is another category. Last category is because of the organizations. So organization issues may lead the project failure. Lack of clear directions, improper strategy, rapidly changing business environment, or customer need. Okay, what else? So when talk about organization factor, also we also can put it as a factor. So we know that maybe the organization is led by a wrong person, or they lead with a different mindset, different strategies that at the end it will fail, right? So this is just overall of the 4 categories that why many project field: people, process, technology, organizations. So the next slide is giving you more example of what kind of people, process, technology, organizations, um, example on each category. If you can see, people mostly on the skills lah. People is human, right? So mostly on the skill: lack of top management support, ineffective user involvement, lack of skill, lack of experience, poor communications, poor defined role and responsible, lack of accountability, unrealistic expectations, conflict stakeholder, poor decisions. All this is limitations from human, right? The second one, process. Okay, process: poorly defined goal objective, poor planning, lack of control, poor defined requirement, changing requirement, inadequate testing, project management, product development process, non-existence or not followed, and also poor executions. All these are the process along from the beginning, implementations, and the last part of the project, the whole project lah. So talking about the process. Third one, technology: obsolete or proven, unproven, incompatible. Okay, and last one, organizations: lack of directions, changing priorities, lack of funding, competitions for funding, organizational politic, bureaucracy, lack of oversight, and poor change management. All right. So this is other than this, there is more example that you may find or you may think of, just to make sure that you know that there is a 4 categories fall under Y project field, which is because of people, process, technology, and organizations. All right. Okay. So how we want to improve it to make sure that our project success. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 approach that been suggest. One is looking at the value driven. Okay? Plain and simple, IT project must provide value to the organizations. You must know that what is the value delivered to the organizations. Okay, meaning that it must be in line with the mission and also vision of the organization. Okay. Second thing is the socio-technical approach. It's not just about technology or building a better mousetrap. Meaning that it's not only talking about technology. It's the socio. Socio here mean the socio interactions, right? Um, it can, because project include human, right? So product also is designed for human, right? So it should have the socio plus technical approach. Okay, not only all the technical part, but must include the social interactions as well. And the next approach, you can use project management approach, where you use the tools, skills that just now. So process and infrastructure. On the methodology part, the resources, expectations, and looking at the competitions. And finally, um, evaluate the efficiency and effectiveness. Okay. And last one, knowledge management applications. Okay, after you done one project, you need to identify lesson learned from the project that have been done. Then it will suppose not be repeated the same mistake, right? So choose the best practices and share knowledge among the team member. Okay. All right. Done. For the topic 1. So make sure the important part topic 1 is why project field. Okay. Next, after we identify there is project field, so we one of it is the process, right? Remember process. Okay. So we learn the next step is the project methodologies and process. Okay. So in this topic, okay, someone is turn on the mic. Okay, turn off first. Okay. Alright, so for this topic, you should able to define what a methodology is and describe role itself in IT project. Okay, the phases, the step, okay, what is included in the methodology, and why, and it been choose for the project. And you should able to describe what is project life cycles, okay, and then describe project management body of knowledge, okay, and then in the project life cycle we have two types of project management body knowledge. We can refer that one, or we can use Prince2. So you should able to define or differentiate between these two types. And In PLC also, we have link with SDLC because PLC is mostly on the organizations, but SDLC more on the development of the software. Okay, software. That's why it's mentioned it's system development life cycle. Okay, in SDLC there is again a lot method that you may choose. One of it is waterfall, and another one is the famous one is agile. These two method is quite famous lah. That's why it been highlighted in this topic. Okay, waterfall. Okay, most of the developer like to choose waterfall because easy, one way only, right? And the second one is agile. It takes time, but it give a more impactful because agile is appreciate human because you include the users from the beginning until the end of the process. Okay, in agile actually we have two method, okay, that we call not only these two actually, the famous one lah, the popular one, extreme programming or XP, and another one is Scrum. Okay, so easy for you to remember. Only we have focusing on these two method, waterfall and agile, kan? Okay, and finally, lesson learned. Okay, lesson learned. Okay, after you done the project, so you need to identify lesson learned and also learning circles, right? So let's go through one by one. Okay, why we need to have a project methodology? Project methodology is most like strategic level plan. Okay, for manage and control a project. Okay, so also we can call it game plan. Okay, game plan for implementing a project or product life cycle. Okay, and recommended it can be also recommended phases, process, tools, and also technique. Okay, and should be flexible, which is we can say that the best practice learned from experience over the time. So again, normally we have traditional and agile. Traditional is the waterfall. Okay, that's why these two is quite famous. Okay, previously waterfall, developer like to choose waterfall. Like I said, that simple. It's one way only, so you don't need to go back to the first phase. Okay, just go through phase by phase, right? For agile, you will need agile is the iteration process where you need to return back to the previous phase, revise again your requirement, maybe revisit again your requirement if the development have some issues. Of course, that's not so popular, but in trend now because the impact from this agile method is more impactful because we look into the value, right? The value of the output, the output. Okay, so project life cycle, the word life cycle, life cycle, kan? Roda-roda kehidupan, kan? Okay, collection of logical stages or phases. So it's kind of logical stages or phases. Okay, map the life of project, kehidupan project tu kan? What we call it, roda-roda dalam manage the project. Okay, from its beginning through its middle until the end. Okay, so normally in project life cycle there will be a define, and then you start build, and then you deliver the product, right? Okay, so in general, okay, project phases here is you have a phase of exit, stage gates, and kill point. Okay, so this is the end review, key delivery. Okay, to evaluate the project performance or each phases, and to exit it we call phase exit. Okay? Dia mesti ada beginning and exit, kan? And stages gates included several stages. Okay, so called gates. So after you done one gates, the next gate will be open. So next stage. Kill point are when the stakeholder decide the project is not worth. Okay, suddenly you start the project, and then suddenly stakeholder said that we don't need the project anymore. Okay, this is the kill point. So what should we do? Should we restart it with a different criteria, or should we stop and finish it? Right. So kill points is when the stakeholder decide that the project is not worth to complete. Okay. All right. So another term that you may find here is fast tracking. Okay, fast tracking is starting the next phase of project before approval is obtained for the current phase, can be used to reduce project schedule, can be risky. Okay, fast track, the name of word fast track, right? So fast. So you may skip some of the phases. That's the meaning by fast tracking lah, fast tracking. So you may skip. Okay? So that's why it put a little bit risky, not a little bit can be high risky. Okay, that's why you need to have a risk analysis first and assumptions, and if the risk accept, and then it can goes to the fast tracking as well lah. Okay, but okay, the most important part here is to understand what is the general project life cycle. Okay, you normally have this 5 stages here, where you start until you're finished. Start is you define the project goal and then you plan a project, right? And then when you start execute the project plan, this is where project life cycle, SDLC, System Development Life Cycle, will take a charge on execute the project plan. Okay, and then close project until the evaluation project. Okay. So I don't have to again give you lecture about all this, right? So I will only focusing on the important part to make it more summary. So like I said that what is the relationship between the project life cycle and project SDL, system development life cycle just now? If you see the word execute is when you start implement the design development phases, right? So this is the SDLC taking in charge. Okay, so in here, it should manage the project scope, schedule, budget, people, okay, to make sure that the project achieve the goal, right? And the progress must be documented and compared to the baseline plan. Baseline plan that what you expect that the output of the project, and later on you revisit. So is it the outcome is in line with the one that you have been planned before. Okay, and project performance must be communicated to all of the stakeholder, and of course you need to present to the stakeholder that make sure that the execution is following the plan. Okay, and to close and evaluate the project is to ensure that the work is complete as a plan. So the final report and presentations to the client, you may have a post-mortem review, okay, and then you identify what lesson learned and the best practice document to be used and also can be shared, so that you will improve for the next circle of project. So talking about the PMBOK, okay, this is the 10. I think 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 project, oh, okay, it's stated here, 10 project management knowledge area. So what is PMBOK? PMBOK and also PRINCE2 is actually is a principle and practices. Okay, how we can again still remember that why project fail, because of the process, right? So process must include principle and practice. So this is the important lah. Why? Like I said that we are talking about this topic is talking about the process, the process categories. Okay, so PMBOK is principles and practice. One of it. Okay, so this is the 10 listed for the PMBOK. Okay, I believe that you read the word integration, scope, time, cost, quality. You can identify what is the management are doing on that. Integration is doing the integration, right? Scope is finalizing and identifying the scope. Time is planning the durations and so on. So you need to at least understand what's mean by each of these management, cost, quality, HR, and so on. Okay, so instead of the 10 area just now, okay, there is a five process, okay, for PMBOK. So initiate, planning, execute, monitoring, controlling, and closing. So looking back at the PLC just now, okay, let me go back to the PLC just now. Okay. Sorry. It should be going down, but I going up lah. Okay. So PLC just now, okay, to remind again, so it should be define, build, and deliver, right? This is the general define, and then you start build, and then you deliver the product. So for PMBOK, the process for PMBOK, initiate planning, okay, and then initiate planning is in the define part, right? And then execute, okay, execute is the what just now, build, define, build, okay, and last one is deliver, right? Deliver is on the monitoring, controlling, and also the closing of the project. Okay, so tadi five PMBOK process group, okay, but in the Prince 2 there is a 7 process, okay, 7 process: start project, initiate, direct, control, manage, and close. If you look back, the PMBOK and Prince 2 is quite similar, okay, it's kind of similar actually. Start project, initiate projects, start projects is the defined part, right? And then initiate project, of course, initiate, start, right? Initiate is the build, build. And then initiate, direct, okay, when goes to control, manage, they divide in 2 parts: manage product and manage stage. This is the part of delivering, delivery process until the closing of the project. Okay, so instead of the 7 process just now, Prince 2 have a team. Just now PMBOK have area, right? So this one have a team. So with the 7 process just now is indicate the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 teams. 7 process equal to 7 team. Alright, so the team here is included the business case, organization, risk, quality, planning, change, and progress. Okay. Alright. Now is what is it? Okay. So in principle, the 7 process plus 7 team plus 7. Sorry, 6. Why they have a 6? 7 also. 7 principles. So 7 process, 7 team, and 7 principles. All that linked together. Okay. So you can read the 7 principle here. Okay. And now we goes to the SDLC part, the execute process, right? Remember? So if you can see, again, quite similar again. We have a planning, analysis, okay, which is the define phases. And then we have design, implementations is the build, and lastly maintenance and support, which is the deliver. Okay, so this is the list. Okay, so we want to see the relationship between PLC and SDLC. So if looking at this image, you can see that the PLC is in the above part and SDLC in the below part. So SDLC, again, I repeat, SDLC is taking in charge in the execution, execute project. Okay, so PLC have five life cycle, right? 5 life cycle. Okay, SDLC also have 5, right? But what is the relationship between PLC and SDLC? Is SDLC is taking in charge in the execute process, in the execute, in the execution. So if you can see that project life cycle is mostly on the whole project, but SDLC is focusing on the product or service that you want to develop. Okay, so that's why it's in the execute project. Okay, so again, 2 way of implement SDLC for this course, for this notes, is using either waterfall or agile. So you need to understand what is waterfall and agile and know the advantage and disadvantage for each of this model and also approach. Waterfall, the name of waterfall, kind of waterfall kan, in one way only. So the good thing, maybe it can fast, right? Fast execution, okay, but the disadvantage, maybe some of the requirement is missing. The project may not fulfill all the requirement of the stakeholders, and it will take a more expensive if there is a missing requirement. Later on, you cannot go back, right? So it may need to again go one phase to one phase return again. That's why it will sometimes it looks cheap, because you can develop fast. But when there is a issues, it become more expensive. Okay, because you need to add a requirement and revisit again each phases. Okay. Um, okay, so why now we have agile? Agile is the iteration or sprint. Okay, so we work closely together, work closely together with the users and also developer, stakeholder and also developer. Okay, we will not missing the requirement, meaning that we will not missing the requirement, right? So emphasize working software to measure progress and rely heavy on face to face. It have a different technique, different method, but it work together between the users and developers. Okay, so what? Okay, in Agile there is a four team or four category: customer, product, project team, and also the performance. Okay, this one is just overview. So just make sure that you understand what is waterfall and Agile, know the advantage and disadvantage for each. Last part is the learning circle. Okay, learning circle. Um, After we done a project, there is some success or failure that we need to look back, right? So this is a lesson learned. So in lesson learned, also there is a learning circle. Okay? So first understand and frame the problems, okay, and then plan for the next one, and then act, improve or remain it or maintain it. The good thing, of course, you can remain, but the one that need to improve, you need to improve, right? Find the solution and improve for the next project. And reflect and learn. Learn meaning that it's good for the next projects. You don't have to repeat the same mistake, the same issues. Okay. Again, this is a circle for learning. Learning circle. Okay. Understand the problem, plan, and then act, and then reflect and learn. All right. Okay, figures, the next two figures is the example of what you can do for a learning record. You can do like this one, fact, assumption, and question to be answered, or you can also do like this one, who, does what, and by when. Okay. So, team learning circle over the PLC. So this is the relationship between the team learning circle and project life circle. So you have each project, right? Each circle is represent project lah, right? So a projects, after done projects, this is the learning circle for one project, and then you move on, another learning circles. Move on, another move on. So it will improve better to create a best practice of your project life cycle lah. So example that a new startup, okay, you might face some of the difficulties or constraint. So after you become matured, organizations more fixed, more stable, so it's become better and better, something like that. All right. So what is the purpose for team learning? Okay, team learning to make sure that you understand the problem issues in depth. Okay, can improve the performance of the delivering project speedy, and then impact, and look into the impact more better, more impactful output or value of the project. Done. Next, after we identify the process issues, okay, let's look back at the MOV, measurable organization value. We want to know that how we know that our project is success or fail, right? So there is something that a method that can evaluate our project success or failure. We call it measurable organization value. Okay, and business case is will be introduced like in the next chapter. So for this chapter, you should able to describe and develop your own project MOB, understand the purpose of why we need to have a business case, and you can prepare your own project's business case, and this can distinguish between what is financial and scoring model, and finally understand how projects are selected. Okay, you have been proposed a few projects, so which one project to be selected? So this is one of the method lah, learning in this topic. So MOV and project objective. So MOV stand for measurable organization value, is the purpose to measure of success. We want to measure the success of the project lah. Okay. So MOV support organization vision, mission and strategy. Okay. Also MOV must be measured, provide value, be agreed upon between the developer and also the stakeholder. Okay. And can be verified. Okay. While project objective support MOV, and the project objective should include scope, schedule, budget, and the quality. Okay, so this is the linkage or the relationship between the organization mission and vision, which is drive the organization strategy, which is drive by MOV. The MOV is support by organization strategy, and the organization strategy is support by vision and mission. This is to visualize lah the alignment or the what we call relationship between all these three. Okay. So this one is already been so this is to visualize where MOV is. So MOV is on the top, which is support by scope, schedule, budget and quality, which is the project objective. Okay. So important part, you should be able to develop the MOV, right? So how many steps that we have to develop MOV? Still remember? First, identify the desired area of impact. Second, identify the desired value. Third, develop appropriate metric. Fourth, set the time frame. Okay, and fifth, verify the MOV and get agreement from the project stakeholder. And lastly, come up with the summarizations of the MOV, which is should be clear, concise statement, or you can use a table form. Okay, so this is an example of MOV, a good MOV. Increase awareness for healthy living by having 250 new subscribers sign up for a weekly newsletter within 6 months. Remember, MOV should be measured, right? That's why it come up with the numbers. Okay, again, how many steps we have for developing MOV? How many steps?
6.
6. All right. First one is identify impact area. Second, saya pula yang ingat, saya pula yang belajar kan. Identify value. Third, matrix, right? Fourth, saya pula yang ingat apa yang fourth. Lepas matrix what? Time frame, right? Set time frame, okay? And then verify, and lastly, summarize MOV. Come up with the MOV statement lah, okay? So this is important. Saya dah highlight as important, okay? So if you want to understand more what is MOV statement or example, you may look at this table 3.1 and also example from 3.2. Okay, different format but same meaning lah, MOV example. And also you can also look at this figure. Okay, and last part is the business case. Okay, business case is an analysis of the organizational value, feasibility, cost, benefit and risk of several proposed alternative or option. Okay, so what is business case? Analysis. It's an analysis. Okay, analysis of what? Organizational value, feasibility, cost, benefit, risk of several proposed alternative or option. That's why it put here several proposed alternative or option. So it's not have a compulsory or fixed component inside it. It can be depend on the organization's analysis lah. Okay, so attribute to have a good business case, thorough in details, clear and logic. Okay, objectively and systematic in the finding. So now we want to develop a business case, but business case you don't have to remember as MOV just now. Business case is just to understand, because like I said, the business case mostly is different or not standardized. It based on the organizations. So step 1 is define MOV, but in general, Okay, to develop a business case, you have step 1, define MOB. Step 2, form a cross-functional business case team. Okay, and then step 3, identify alternative. Step 4, define feasibility and assess risk. Step 5, define total cost of ownership. Step 6, define total benefit of ownership. 7, analysis alternative. Which one project better? Remember how you do a calculation on payback period? Which one project need to choose? The one have a less payback period, right? Okay, and then break even, and then ROI is the most important, because what we want to have a project, we want to have a return on investment back, right? And then how to calculate NPV. Okay, okay, and then finally we have the scoring model. Okay, and things to keep in mind, differentiate between financial and scoring model. Okay, so this is example of scoring model. Okay, and then step 8, propose and support recommendations. Okay, so like I said, that business case is not standardized, it's depend on organization, but the more you have in your business case is, which is good lah. Okay, so this is one of the example of template business case template. Have a cover page, executive summary, introductions, alternative, analysis of alternative. Okay, and all this lah. But it's not compulsory. It's depend on the company analysis, right? So, and then project selection and approve. How to select a project and to approve a project. So, of course, we need to have a selective, right? So we need to also have a decision. Okay, the decision. Sebut decision pun tentu. So, project, to make a decision, make sure your projects align with organization value, mission, vision, and strategy, and provide the MOB. Because MOB is measure of success, right? So this is two things that can help you to make a good decision. Okay, done. So for that topic, what is important is MOB. MOB. Okay, you should be able to understand how to develop MOB. Alright. Okay, and understand lah what is business case, but it's not in detail. Okay. Next, after we done measuring the success of the project, now we start the project planning. Yeah, project planning, we start with the project infrastructure. Okay, infrastructure, by end of this topic, you should be able to describe the planning phases. Okay, start planning, define the project infrastructure, describe project governance, understand the role of project manager and the team, understand how project acquire both internal and external resources, understand and describe the project environment, and describe 3 general categories of procurement type contract, and finally, develop project charter, okay, and understand the relationship. Okay, so in the project planning phase, okay, you should be able to answer all these questions. All these questions should be asked lah. What work need to be done? Who will do the work? What resource will be need? When will they do the work? You want to plan a project, right? So these questions should be the list that you should be able to answer after you done the planning the project. Okay, and then project have infrastructure, governance structure, requirement resources, and project charter. Okay, in project we have the infrastructure, governance structure. Okay, because environment involve the government, kan, policy and so on. Resources, required resources, and project charter. Okay, this is the visualize of what been mentioned just now in project infrastructure. So to achieve the project objective, you should have the MOB, you should also have the support from the governance, and you should have the resources needed, internal or external. Okay. Okay, project governance, okay, should flow from organizational governance. Governance, not only the government governance, okay, it's also inside internal governance. Okay, that's why it put organizational governance internally. Okay, provide a framework to ensure that project align with a chosen business strategy while ensuring that the time, money, and resources provided real value to the organizations. So every organization should have their own what we call charter kan, charter organization macam tu kan. So it's organizational governance lah actually kan. Why we need it? Because they should have a top management, right? The one that need to align the mission vision of the company with the project that will go through along the organizations. So project governance should must define structures, authorizations, okay, oversight and accountability, make a decision making, and prepare or provide the resources. Okay, so this is the visualize where the we have a project governance. So organizational governance is on the top, and it will direct to the project. Okay, so it should have the strategic alignment. Okay, and then in down we have the authorization. Who is the authorized? So top management until those is been assigned to manage the project, which is the project manager, and going down to the team of the project. Okay, so that's why there is a project team that have their own role. Who is project manager? Of course, the one that will manage and the leadership role. Okay, to become a project manager, you should have this attribute, which is able to communicate with all people, your team, able to deal with them, able to create and sustain the relationship. Okay, no hanky panky kan. Okay, ability to organize and control the situations. In the project team, of course, as a project team, as a team member, you should have the technology skill, you should have a business organization knowledge and interpersonal skills. Okay, maybe you don't have the 3 skills, but it will be good to have all these 3 category skills. Or maybe it already divided into a few category that your team should be focused on the technology skill. This team is focusing on the business organization knowledge and interpersonal skill. Of course, everyone need to have the interpersonal skills, right? Okay, so to form organizations, is formal grouping and specialization, publish line. Okay, why we need to form organizations? Of course, we should know who is the authority, right? Who is responsibilities? Who should report to who? What is the relationship? What is the communications? Is it top down or down top? Mostly top down, kan? Who is giving the decision? Who will decide everything? Okay, is it the CEO only, or there is a board to make a decision, something like that. That's why formal organization should have all this. Okay, so in organizations, there are three type of organization, which is functional, matrix, and project based. This is the visualize of how functional, matrix, and project based. Okay, you can see that functional is based on the function. Okay, matrix is kind of matrix style, right? You have a row and column. Project based is based on project. Okay, so in detail, you should be able to identify each of the types of this organization, the advantage and disadvantage. So you know your organization, which one better to choose, functional types ke, metric types, or project based type, which one is the better for you. Okay, so to highlight, mostly is the project based is most common lah. Project based organizations, okay, is based on project. So the advantage of it is it have a clear authority. One project is led by one project manager, right? Improve communications because your projects is understand what the vision of mission of the projects, and you also know the output of the project, right? So among the team should have improved communications lah. High level of integrations, all have a same vision and mission, so easy for you to integrate because you know that what is the mission of your project. But the disadvantage here, project isolation. You might not know what the other projects is doing, right? Because you are doing your own project, you don't care, don't know about the other projects, so it may make you as isolation. So the applications of effort maybe because you don't know what the other project are doing, what are the other group, which is other project are doing. So it may have the applications. Okay, and project titis. Project titis ni dia Continue, right? Continue. So this is advantage and disadvantage that you should understand what is project based. Okay, and metric, and also another one is just now is the function, right? Okay, um, when we want to create a project, we need to come up with the procurement. Kan? I'm not sure that you are aware of there is a procurement department in organization. Okay, so why we need a procurement? Because when we decided to do a project, we also need to decide that the project should be implement internal, external, or half-half. Right, something like that. Okay, so procurement. Okay. This is the one that I just mentioned. So we want to full outsource it, okay, or half-half, or maybe you use internal source. Okay, so in doing a procurement, okay, you also have a planning. Okay, how, when, how many, and where. Right. So when you do a procurement planning, it's a need to have a request for proposal. Every project, okay, should have a request proposal. Okay, then only you can create a project, right? Okay, so the RFP, or request for proposal, is document based on, maybe because of the solicit bid. Okay, in organizations, because of we want to open tender, something like that. We want to open tender. Okay, or it's a proposal. It's a proposal to start a project. Okay, what we call quote to get a pricing. So this is the purpose of RFP lah. So in procurement, we know that either we want to do inside, outside, or half-half. Okay, we should have the contract between seller and buyer, right? So once the seller is selected, that buyer may enter into contract negotiations, that we call it mutual agreement, that can be reached agreement both between the seller and buyer. So here we call it contract. Okay, so contract is a document signed by the buyer and seller that define the term and conditions of the buyer-seller relationship. So it's a legally binding agreement. You agree, I'm agree. Something like that. Ni boleh juga kita kata kontrak perkahwinan kan? Perkahwinan kontrak kan? So this contract is for buyer and seller. What is contract? Document signed by buyer and seller, okay, that define term and conditions between these two, between their relationship, buyer and seller. Okay, so it provide contract for the buyer, or the buyer what their limitations, for the seller what their limitation as well. So who is buyer, who is seller, what they need, what should be done. So it's all included in the contract basis. So the contract should be negotiation, and also it's a mutual agreement, which is legally. You sign, I sign, so we agreed, something like that. So anything happen, we have this agreement. Macam sewa rumah kan, you want to rent a house, so the house owner should have this contract between the tender and also the tender pula penyewa dengan pemberi sewa kan. So it's also called contract. So in here we learn about the buyer and seller. Okay, so there is a few categories for procurement type contracts. One is fixed price or lump sum contract, and then we have a cost reimburse contract. Okay, and cost reimburse have three types: cost plus fee, cost plus fixed fee, and cost plus incentive fee. I hope you still remember that this one is we already focused before, right? And last type is time and material contract. Okay, so infrastructure is talking about the whole, right? So not to forget the environment of doing a project. Okay, is that in the home? Is that using what technology? Is that the office with supplies all the facilities, and the culture among the team member as well? Okay, so last part is the project charter, serve as an agreement and as a communication tool for all the project stakeholder. Project charter ni is a agreement or communication tool. So it's document MOB, define the project infrastructure, summarize the detail of a project planning, and define project governance structure, and show all the explicit commitment to the project. Okay. So this is a template, a project charter, same with business case just now. It's not have a standard that everyone need to follow this one. The more details that you give, okay, the more the better lah, the better understanding on a project charter. Okay. Okay, last part. Okay, I want to finish 3:30 actually, right? Okay, last part is after we done the project infrastructure just now, right? So in the planning phases also include the scope and work breakdown structure. Okay, plan infrastructure done. Now we are focusing on the scope. Okay, scope. So by the end of this topic, you should understand and describe relationship between the scope, schedule, and budget. This is important. Scope, schedule, budget. And then understand the process and apply several tools for defining and manage the scope of project. Understand the difference between project scope, example, the project deliverable, and also product scope, which is the features and functionality of the product or system. And you'll be able to develop your own work breakdown structures using the tools lah, actually, and differentiate between deliverable and what is milestone. Okay. Finally, describe and apply several project estimations method. We have a few project estimation method, so you can describe each of the method. Understand lah, don't hafal lah kan, don't remember. Don't make sure you understand and can apply, can choose why you choose this estimation method. Alright. So let's look into what is scope. Scope define the work boundaries and deliverable of the project. So what needs to get done, and only what need to get done. Okay, understand the meaning? Okay, meaning that scope is the work boundaries and what should be delivered. Okay, and the deliverable lah. Okay, so that's why it said what should be done must be done. Kan? It's determined directly by project MOB. So it must be tally lah with your MOB. So define the works, activity, deliverable to achieve the MOB. Okay, and in scope, you know that the scope is defined work boundaries, right? So we have one of it is work breakdown structure. It's a project management tool. Remember what is project management? Application, right? So this is one of it lah, project management tools that we call work breakdown structure. Okay, that provide hierarchical structure that has a bridge or link between the project scope and detail of the project created. Okay, so this is the visualizations of too easy for you to define what is project the triple constraint, visualize where should be what is the important part and what is the constraint for each of the project to achieve project MOV. So these three must be tied in together lah, is the constraint. Okay, scope, budget, schedule. If the scope increase, of course your budget should be increased and should be extend the schedule. Something like that. It's linked together, right? So scope management process have a few here: plan scope management, collect requirement, define scope, create the WBS, validate scope, and control the scope. Okay, so this is the process lah. Of course, you plan the scope first, and then you collect the requirement. Because you want to identify the scope, you need to collect requirement, right? And then you define the scope, and then you create the detail of the work. That's we call it WBS. And then validate the scope. After validate, control the scope because it may have a change on the scope, right? So this is the important part lah, control scope. Okay. This one is okay. So scope boundary, you know that this is your project. Work within the scope boundary, okay, which is must support your MOV. The white at the outside is work outside of the project. So which one is the compulsory part? Of course, work in the boundary. This is the one that we want to define. The one that related to the outside, you don't have to ignore. That's why in your FIP project, you should know your project scope, right? So when the examiner when the examiner asking you, you should mention that that's not that's out of our scope, because you should define it. That's why scope looks like simple, but it's important to show your limitations of your work scope, right? So when people talk about outside from the scope, you can say that that was out from our scope. Okay. In the scope also, we have a statement of work where we call SOW, right? So narrative descriptions of product, service, or informations. For internal project, it's tied between the business need. For external, include specification, quantity, quality standard, performance. Okay, often include in a document that may be called RFP, RFI, or RFD. So statement of work ni you know SOW, right? In our course also we have SOW. It's talking about the boundary, boundary of the syllabus, our syllabus, and the syllabus, the assessment, okay, what inside of our syllabus, and also assessment, okay. So scope statement is another way to define the scope boundary. It is a detailed documentation of the sponsor need and expectations, okay. Example of the scope: develop a proactive electronic commerce strategy, okay, that identify the process, product, and services to delivered through www. Develop an application system that support all the process, product, service identified in the electronic commerce strategy. The application system must integrate. So when there is a question they're asking you, give an example of a scope. So this is one of it lah. What is your scope? To develop a proactive electronic commerce strategy. That's why in FYP it will be good. You stated your objective, but put also scope. Your scope is until where, until what, your limit of your project, right? So what platform, anything you should put. That's why try to detail your scope. So easy for you to prevent anything happen later on, kan? Okay, so this is the 3 example. What is the scope? So mostly is easy, develop, to integrate, something like that. So if they said that if the one that mentioned is out of the statement, you can say that it's out of the boundary, out of the scope lah. Okay. So in scope, actually we have 2 types of scope: project oriented and product oriented. Okay, when we talk about project, it's talking about the support project management process, which is defined in the PLC and the chosen project methodology. Okay, you can use a deliverable structure chart, okay, to define project-oriented scope. Okay, another thing that you should know that in scope also you have product-oriented scope, where you mention specifically your features and function. That's why I prefer in the scope your project later on you put what module inside your project. So the module should be defined the specific features and function, right? What the system can do. Okay, so outside from it, you can say that it's out from your scope, right? So normally product oriented is use case diagram lah to define it. It's a system modeling tool lah. This is an example of project management tool that being used for each of this scope. Alright, so out of scope, example, technology and organization assessment of the current. You don't do this technology and organizational assessment. You only develop. Customer resource management and data mining component is not part of your scope to the example, your project is focusing on one case study. So when they mention how if we have another case study, so is out of our scope. My scope is focusing in one case study like this, something like that lah, kan, out of the scope. Then it can be mentioned by the technology, then it can be mentioned platform, data that been used, method that been used, and so on. Okay, project scope definition. Okay, alright. The scope boundary and scope statement provide a useful first step. The project scope must now be defined in more detail in terms of specific deliverable that provide basis of development project WBS. Okay, alright. Project scope. Okay, project scope, either scope boundary or scope statement, is very important, useful. Okay, project scope define more detail of the specific deliverable, okay, that provide a project work breakdown WBS. So tool can use for project scope is deliverable definition table, deliverable structure chart, context level data flow diagram, use case diagram. So this is a part of remember when you you find the requirement. Then after you find the requirement, you come up with the scope, right? So the scope is to define lah. That's why you draw your use case, right? Use case. So your system should be have all these features and function. So outside from it, out your scope. Okay. So this is example deliverable structure chart, electronic commerce banking project. Okay. What is the deliverable? So for initiate, you will deliver business case. For project charter and plan, you will have a document of project charter and project plan. Execute and control, it will goes for the SDLC, right? Development. So it goes for analysis, design, construction, test, implementation. And for closed project, what is deliverable for closed project? The final report, or the presentations, or the formal acceptance. And lastly, evaluate project success, the evaluation report lah, project evaluation. Okay. Another example using a use case diagram. So you can define your boundary is within these features and function only. So your system, customer should be able to check balance, view. So this is the boundary of your this is the product based scope lah. Okay, after you done the scope, you need to validate your scope, right? So there is a few things that you need to do for validation the scope. One is verification of the MOV. Has the project MOV been clearly defined and agreed upon? These questions is in the phases of this verification lah. Documentation of all variable. Answer the question: are the deliverable tangible or verified? Do they support the project MOV? Specification of quality standard, control in place to ensure that the work was not only completed but completed to meet specific standard. Identification of milestone, milestone defined for each deliverable. And lastly, review and acceptance, are both sides clear in their expectations, meaning the buyer and seller just now lah. Okay, so remember what is the process for validate scope? Verify MOV, documentation of all variable, specification of quality standard, identification of milestone, finally review and acceptance. Okay, so this is the process for validate scope. Okay, so last part is control the scope. After you validate, you need to control the scope because scope might be changed. Sometimes human sometimes they think that they want to change suddenly the content of your project, right? So you will get issues. So this is the potential issues when talking about the control and control scope, scope group, scope grip, and leap. So that's why you need to have a term and condition lah. So all these issues you should put in term and condition, and it should have a procedure. It not simply that the client come to you, I want to add some of the features here, but that was out of your scope, right? Out of your project scope. So fill up the form first. Okay, scope change request form. If the changes is not a major or not a serious issues, so may accept it, right? But if there is a issues of taking a time and cost, so pay lah, kan? So that's important for having this control scope. Alright. This is an example of scope change request form, scope change request log. How many people who are the one? So this is example lah. Okay. And WBS, okay, you know that just now we mentioned that this is one of the project management tool, okay, using the BMBOK. at PMBOK guide state the WBS represent a logical decomposition of the work details, details of the product, service, result that subdivide. Okay, so in an easy word is the outline, outline. So something like this one, your project phases, what is deliverable, the activity task, and also the milestone, deliverable completions. In phases, you have two types, deliverable and milestone. So you remember, you should be able to differentiate what is deliverable and milestone, right? Deliverable is the activity, and in the activity also got a milestone. What is the deliverable completion? And next phase is the milestone phase completion. Phase completions. This one is deliverable completion. This one is phase completion. This one is much more bigger lah. Okay. So in detail, what is deliverable versus milestone? Deliverable is tangible. Tangible can be seen, can be touched, can be read. That's why it's in terms of report, presentations, or prototype. So it tangible, verified. Tangible and verified, can be verified. You can see, you can read, you can hear, something like that. Tangible. Okay. Milestone, significant event or achievement, acceptance of deliverable or phase completion, proof of concept, quality control, keep team focus. Milestone is more on the achievement. Okay, milestone 1, what to be achieved. And then what to be accepted on the deliverable to make sure that the phase are completed. Something like that. To achieve objective for your FIP, right? To achieve objective number 1, what phases included and what deliverable included. Okay, and then maybe one of it is come up with the proof of concept, something like that. So different, right? Deliverable is more on tangible, report, present, prototype. Milestone, the achievement, the process achievement. So when the phase completed and how. Okay, this is an example of using deliverable structure chart. Okay, I think this one is been mentioned before. Okay, deliverable can be also one of it is test result report lah. This is additionally lah, looking at logical activities, and this is example of doing WBS. Okay, it's not manually, it's using a tool actually, right? So you key in the input here, so it will generate automatically lah actually. So it should be aligned, the work package with the WBS. Remember, WBS is detail of the work package. In project, what is in detail. In phases, what is included. Something like that, more details of each of the work package. Okay, things to keep in mind when developing WBS. Your WBS should support the project MOB, should be deliverable oriented. The level of detail should be support planning and control. Developing WBS should involve those who will be doing the work, meaning that your details of plan of work should put the name of who is the one that doing the work, PIC or the developer name, so easy for you to check. Okay, this one is handled by who? So is it already delivered or not? So put the name, easy. Or maybe you can put the team. Okay, depend. Okay, so estimation question when estimation. Okay, what are you going to estimate? Where do you start? How do you estimate? Okay, this is just the give the overview lah. What is aspect to be estimations. So estimation have a few techniques. So this is estimation techniques. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 techniques. Approach that you can use: guesstimating, Delphi technique, time boxing, top down, bottom up, poker planning. Okay, so you can read in detail by reading the word. Also, you can guess, right? Guesstimating is the guesstimate or guess at the estimation. Delphi techniques involve expert. Okay, time boxing is using a box time. Okay, top down is giving a direction from the top to the below. Below ni lah team. Okay, or bottom up. Okay, and lastly is a poker planning. Poker planning variation from the Delphi technique. Remember what is Delphi technique? The expert just now, right? Okay, anonymous expert. Okay, alright, that's all. Okay, boleh. I hope you focus on the certain part that I put highlight there. That's the tips for you, okay, to read and understand more. Okay, maybe some of the word you may need to look in the internet to find the example to make you more understand. You can do that. So that's all for today revisions. Any questions? Ada soalan? Ada soalan untuk exam or ada soalan untuk revision? Boleh bagi tahu dengan saya lah. Boleh faham. Okay. Saya rasa saya tak cakap terlalu cepat. Okay, I'm explaining in the good pace, right? To make sure that you understand. Not in details because we already gone through each topic in previous week. Just to make a summary for what we have learned in the past 6 weeks. Boleh faham? Hai, senyap je ni. Okay, boleh faham? Respon lah, tertidur lah pula masa saya explain kan, penat saya explain kan. Saya nak cepat, jadi saya limit your interaction with me to asking you questions because I want to make a summary lah. But actually you can interact. Okay, ada soalan untuk exam mungkin? Dapat tak yang tip-tip saya bagi tu? Like I said, I will not share the tips, okay, but you know which one to emphasize more lah. Reading more kan, untuk make you more understand. Meaning adalah tu kan maksudnya, okay? Last questions. Any question? Boleh faham? Ke saya short sendiri je cakap panjang-panjang tadi? I plan to finish 3:30 actually. Actually, I want to finish 1 hour only.
Dapat.
Dapat. Okay, dapat. Okay, saya nak cakap apa lah. Dapat. Okay, good. Dapat. Okay, dapat. For group C, okay, we have two group C. Group C, you ada buat revision exercise with me, okay. But the other group B kan, group B, your class is on Monday, so you don't have chance to do a revision exercise. Dia ada in tutorial, I give revision exercise, which is giving you a past questions from the past semester. Exercise lah, how you will get the questions. Taklah terkejut kan tiba-tiba. Since you don't have that class, that revisions exercise, okay, because your class on Monday, I'm okay if you want to suggest 1 hour sessions, okay, 1 hour sessions for doing the exercise. I can tell you that the exercise is good for you to have an exercise on what your test will be. Macam tu lah. Contoh. Soalan tu ialah soalan daripada semester lalu lah. Kalau you nampak dia memang exactly macam tu. Ada soalan MCQ and subjektif. Takutlah kan you terkejut waktu tiba tengok soalan kan. So kalau exercise ni you tengok, you dah dapat agak macam mana soalan tu akan ditanya lah. Since dia tak ada kelas, so saya bagi tak tahu representative from group B, if you want to make a 1 hour session with me, malam ke siang ke, check availability with your team member, team friends, your class lah, your class. Let me know bila yang available. Kalau time saya pun okay, saya okay je. Malam ke, pukul 11 malam ke, pukul 10 malam ke. It's up to you, you decide. But it's optional. I did not put a compulsory, but like I said that it good lah. It good for you to do the practice. Kalau tak nak buat pun tak apa, nak buat bagus, saya okay je dua-dua. Alright? Let me know because you will start the test on Monday kan. So kita hari ni hari Khamis kan. So kita ada Jumaat, Sabtu, Ahad. So kita ada 3 days. Kalau nak buat lah, let me know, okay? Kalau time tu okay, saya no problem. Even though saya memang agak busy kan, tapi it's okay for me to give you a times to give you exercise on doing that. Nanti group B you decide lah, representative class boleh decide dalam group. Kalau nak buat, let me know bila. Okay, 1 jam pun cukup. 1 jam nak, 1 jam cukup 1 jam. Tak payah 2 jam, 1 jam je cukup. Malam ke, tengah malam ke, tak kisahlah kalau masa tu okay. Sebab Macam hari Sabtu saya ada kelas 6 hours kan. So you kena bagi tahu dengan saya lah a few option. Jangan satu je option. Kadang-kadang takut kalau satu je option, time tu tak ngam dengan saya kan. Right? But it's up to you. I put a decision to group B to decide want to have one session exercise or not. Kalau tak nak, tak apa. Kalau dah confident, buat apa saya nak push kan. Jangan bagi tahu saya tak payung. Itulah tu kan. Saya dah payung dah tu, habis payung. Okay, make sure don't bring toyol atau tak toyol lah. Don't bring notes on the exam. Okay, don't copy or ask your friends. Dah exam kan hari tu, apalah dia? Jangan tanya dan jangan bagi. Kau tak tanya aku bagi, no. Both no. Okay, kalau it's happen, kalau been caught, adalah tolak markah ke apa. Atau the next impact is your next assessment maybe will be strict more lah. So tak payah fikir sebab saya dah bagi dah semua tips. Anything else you can ask me. Group C you dah buat exercise tu macam tu lah, lebih kurang aja soalan. Okay, so you don't have to ni lah cheat lah on that exam kan. So you tolong saya tolong you all juga, no problem, right? Okay, last question. I have 2 minutes more to give you. Do you have any questions? Exam ke ataupun apa-apa saja? Nak tanya soalan? Semua faham? Madam nanti test kat mana? Dalam kelas. Ini tak dengar awal-awal saya cakap. Dalam kelas tutorial. You all punya kelas tutorial minggu depan kan? Hari Isnin, Group B. 2 hingga 4, right? Masa itulah test. Hari Selasa, Group C. 8 hingga 10. Masa itulah test. Dekat kelas you all. Kelas tutorial tu. Faham? Boleh? Siapa yang tanya ni? Shoki. Shoki yang tanya. Shoki juga yang tanya soalan dalam message kan, yang saya kata saya akan explain dalam kelas revision, don't worry kan. Tapi tak nak tanya soalan tadi dia tapi terus senyap. Madam, okay. Saya ingat you were the one that asked me a question. So dah dapat jawapan kan semua Shoki? The one that you asked me in the WhatsApp dah tahu kan jawapan dia. Okay, again any communications, please go through your WhatsApp group lah, senang. Tak cakap benda yang sama, saya repeat. Dah, madam. Okay, good. Alright, good. Okay. So, no more questions? Confident? 100%?
InsyaAllah tiada.
InsyaAllah. Okay. So, I wish you all the best. Good luck for your test. I see you next week. Bye, everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Doctor.